What happens when you combine a coach, a nutritionist and an athlete? No, this is not a joke. So this is how I'm going to prepare for Tweed Enduro in February 2022. So Tweed Enduro is a long course triathlon, a 1.9 kilometre swim, a 90k bike ride and a 21.1k run. I first did this race in 2018 and it was my first long course triathlon. I remember during the training when I did a 100k ride thinking that was so amazing, and I was so impressed and proud of myself because it was the longest I'd ever ridden. So things have changed and I've done a few 70.3s since then, but I'm heading back to where it all started next year, and I'm taking a new coach and a nutritionist along with me. So I'm going to use the nutritionist and the new coach to get me into shape for this event, and not just this event but for life in general and for a whole host of other events that I've got planned for 2022 and also beyond that as well. I've said it in previous videos that I've been feeling a little bit flat lately. Working with people who are qualified and know what they're talking about, I'm hoping that all I have to do is trust their advice and follow what they say. They can do all the thinking and all the planning, and then I just have to implement what they tell me to do. Sounds easy, right? I have had a coach previously, but I've decided since moving to Brisbane to go with a more local coach. So I'm working with Emma Quinn from EQ Performance Coaching. So I'm looking forward to working with her over the next few months and maybe even longer, going into another Ironman. So a little bit about the programs. I've been on it for just 1 week and already I can feel the structure, the intensity, the recovery. So all those facets that are important in a training program, I can feel them starting to work already. And I'm not just working on the swim, bike, run, I'm also working on strength. So I'm doing 1 yoga session and 2 strength sessions a week, along with 3 bikes, 3 runs, 3 swims. For probably the last 2 years, I've been feeling a little bit of lack of energy when I'm training and racing, and it's always kind of in the back of my mind, is it actually that I'm getting older and that's just how you feel, or is there something lacking, you know, vitamins and minerals, or is there something lacking? So that's why I've kind of looked into a nutritionist. So I'm working with Nutrition Ellie, so with Ellie from Nutrition Ellie, and we did a whole host of blood tests first of all, just to see kind of where I'm at right now, and then we're using food and some supplements to, you know, improve where I've been lacking and just to provide some structure around my eating, so ensure I'm getting the right mix of carbohydrates and protein and fat in my diet. So my body responds really well to a lower carb diet and a higher fat diet. And I've done this before and I've had really good response from it. It's a little bit difficult in the long term. Sometimes it's difficult when we're traveling a fair bit, and it's always a little bit harder being vegan and getting different fat sources. There has to be a lot of planning around the meals. But when I lower the carb intake and increase the fat intake, I drop the weight really quickly, and I also feel less hungry during the day, and I don't feel like snacking. So I can, you know, just have the 3 main meals a day. Sometimes I just have 2 meals and a snack rather than having the 3rd meal. But we're also using really strategic use of carbohydrates. So either straight after a big intense session, or the night before I'm about to do a long or intense session in the next morning. The meals are all planned with much more strategy around my training, and so the nutritionist is also looking at my training program and saying, well, you know, this is the kind of meal that you should have at this time, and this is the kind of meal you should have, you know, before you train or after you train, and this is the kind of snack you should have. So I'm 2 weeks into that program with the nutritionist. So, and I've got 11 weeks to go. So 2 weeks in with the nutritionist, 1 week with the coach, and 11 weeks to Tweed Enduro. As always, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. We'd love to continue the conversation. I'm going to check in again in about 4 weeks, and then check in again just before race day. So one, it's a good way just to keep me accountable, because knowing that I'm going to be sharing my story here and how I'm going and how the training's going and how the food's going and the implications of that. So it's great to be able to see that, but it's also good to then be able to track the longer term benefits that I'm having. Thanks for training with me.